The UCONN Huskies are one of the worst programs in college football history, boasting only a 43% win percentage. And to make matters worse, they've only appeared in 7 total bowl games in its history and are not affiliated with a single conference in college football, making them one of the only independents in the sport. Based on these facts, it'll be extremely difficult to have Connecticut become a consistent bowl team and near impossible to bring them to a national championship win. The question is, can I be the one to do it? We would start off year 1 with a pitiful 78 overall roster. My philosophy in these situations is to sim through the first season and use the time to invest in recruiting. But things started off much better than I expected, as we went 8-4 in the regular season and were set to play the Boise State Broncos in the Hawaii Bowl, which we would lose. But even with that loss, the first season played out much better than I could even hope. Beyond that, the time I invested in recruiting really paid off, as we brought in a great high school and transfer portal class for our standards. I was thinking we would really only be able to pull in 2 stars and below, but we were able to sign a ton of 3 stars, with Kyle Rabe, a star running back we signed in this class, who would become a future star in the program. Year 2 is another foundation building year, as we went 8-4 again, but we did snag our quarterback of the future in Bo Stewart, and also picked up massive program wins by beating Ohio State at home 21-14 and Oregon State on the road 21-16. Beyond that, the recruiting improved even more, as we were consistently getting 3-star commits, finishing with the 51st overall recruiting class in the country. In terms of the bowl game, we got another warm weather game, this time against Western Michigan in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which we won, putting us at 9-4 to finish year 2. Year 3 would start off hot, as we reeled in a ton of recruits and started 6-2 with number 17 and 6-1 Pittsburgh coming to our house for a massive game, and it would live up to the hype. We started the game with the ball and easily drove down the field before being stuffed on the goal line, forcing us to take the field goal and go up 3-0. But Pittsburgh would answer back immediately, easily scoring on an outside zone run to take the lead at 7-3 to finish the first quarter. We would be stopped on our next drive, which allowed Pitt to get the ball back and nail a 46-yard field goal to give themselves a touchdown lead to start the second quarter. We were driving on our next possession, but then I threw an awful pick over the middle of the field to give Pittsburgh all of the momentum back. On a crucial third down, I got stuck on a D lineman, allowing Pitt to throw a bullet down the seam, which definitely should have been picked, and set them up for a goal-to-goal situation. Pitt would then capitalize on the cheese in its favor, scoring with an easy run up the middle to take a 17-3 lead. We were officially in trouble and on fraud watch, but the EA gods balanced the game back in our favor, as we somehow scored on a screenplay from midfield where we spun and glitched through tacklers to put us back in the game. That touchdown didn't matter to Pitt though, as it drove down the field in a minute to score an easy touchdown over the middle of the field to take back a 2-score lead in the game. We only had 45 seconds to answer, and Pitt would get the ball to start the second half, so this drive was crucial. And our prayers were answered, as Pitt inexplicably went into press coverage, allowing our burner receiver Porter to torch his man and walk in for an easy touchdown. And, to make things better, Pitt's quarterback Eli Holstein got baited by my user with little time left in the half to set us up with another possession before the break. We capitalized on this with another touchdown, as Pitt didn't learn its lesson and pressed up on Porter again, and now we had a tie ball game on our hands. Pitt started the second half with Holstein getting baited once again, putting us in firm control of the game with an opportunity to retake the lead. And on that drive, Pitt had a coverage bust, leaving our sneaky athletic running back, Shabar, wide open in the flat, allowing us to barely make it into the end zone and go up 31-24. But Pitt wasn't going to go out sad though, as it drove down the field easily and scored from 2 yards out to tie the game back up. On our next possession, Shabar would score again and show his grittiness and knowledge of the game by diving over the line to give us a 38-31 lead. Pitt would get nothing on its final drive, allowing us to kneel out the game and win a crazy game to put us at 7-2 and with small playoff hopes. After this game, we reeled in several more high-level recruits for our program and picked up a huge road win at Liberty to put us at 8-3 on the season. We finished the season with a 9-3 record and found ourselves back in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, this time against the Ohio Bobcats, which we won, allowing us to finish with our first 10-win season and the 42nd ranked recruiting class in the country. Going into year 4, we kept getting a ton of recruits for the future. We had high hopes for a playoff run now. We had an 84 overall roster coming into the season, and based on our recent success, we're invited to join the Big 12 Conference. Because of this, year 4 would be the season. We ran the table on our schedule and the Big 12, setting us up for a showdown to finish the season at number 9 Ole Miss. If we won, we would be undefeated and almost guarantee a spot in the playoff. If we lost, we would likely have to win the conference championship to get in. We would start out the game by getting a huge pick with our corner who plays the right way setting us up in scoring range early in the first quarter. The crowd noise was a huge factor for us on offense, but that wouldn't stop Bo Stewart from throwing an absolute dot on the run with pressure in his face for a touchdown. If Chris Collinsworth were here, he'd call that a little Mahomey. Ole Miss would answer quickly on its next drive though, by running a direct snap to its running back, who weaved through traffic to tie the game up at 7 apiece. After that, we got stopped on our next possession, which allowed for Ole Miss to drive down and kick a field goal to take a 10-7 lead. On our next drive, Kyle Rabe got the handoff on 4th and goal from the 1 to score a touchdown and give ourselves the lead back. And, to make things better, we stopped Ole Miss and set ourselves up for a field goal right before the end of the half to go up 17-10 at the break. The second half was all defense, but we scored a field goal with 2 minutes left in the game to take a 2-score lead, which we wouldn't relinquish, giving ourselves a 20-10 top 10 road win to finish the season undefeated and set us up with a showdown against number 3 Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. The game would start in our favor as we stopped Tech on a 3rd and 2 at midfield, forcing a 56-yard field goal, which their kicker absolutely destroyed. We would answer though with a field goal of our own to tie the game up at 3 apiece. However, Tech would easily drive down the field and score on a deep out route to go up 10-3. On our next drive, I noticed Tech was in press coverage, so I took advantage by running 4 verticals and scoring on a bomb down the sideline to our wide receiver who has a nose for the ball to tie the game at 10-10. The scoring would stall out for a while until we broke the seal with a huge field goal late in the 3rd quarter to go up 13-10. But Tech would answer with a monstrous 70-yard run at the end of the quarter to go up 17-13. To make matters worse, Texas Tech would get the ball back and score with a cover 3 beater up the seam to take a commanding 24-13 lead with little time to play. Would we be able to come back? The short answer is no. I ended up simming the rest of the game since it was basically over, and the CPU led us to a 37-21 loss and our first defeat of the season. But we had to move on. We wouldn't get a bye in the playoff, but that didn't matter. We needed to take care of business at home in the first round of the playoff against the Washington Huskies. The game would start off very poorly, however, as my entire defense got pancaked on a 27-yard touchdown run to the house by Washington's running back, putting us in an early 7-0 hole. We would get stopped on our first possession, which allowed Washington to drive down the field again and score on a quick out to take a commanding 14-0 lead. Were we cooked again? The drought wouldn't last forever though, as we drove down the field to score a touchdown right before the 2-minute warning. To close out the half, we got another huge stop and score by our running back to tie the game up right before halftime. On our first drive of the second half, I noticed press coverage, so you know what that means. I audibled to 4 verticals and absolutely torched Washington's defense to walk in the end zone and take the lead. We ended up getting another stop, which led to our 4th straight scoring drive, as Ray ran in another touchdown. We'd scored 28 straight and we're playing with house money at this point. And we would finish off the game with another touchdown run by Ray, giving us an easy 35-14 win over Washington. In the next round, we would match up against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the Cotton Bowl. We would be without our star quarterback Bo Stewart in this game due to injury, so our run game had to carry the day. And it would at the start, as we scored a 13-yard touchdown run by Ray to take a quick 7-0 lead. We kept stopping Georgia Tech on offense, so we were able to score another easy touchdown with Brave to put us up by 2 scores early. Georgia Tech had the ball to end the first half, and I got greedy by calling an aggressive man blitz on 2nd and long, allowing Georgia Tech's receiver to cook his man and score a massive 62-yard touchdown to put them back in the game. Late in the game, we were able to kick a field goal to go up 17-7, allowing us to survive a defensive battle and advance to the semifinals of the college football playoff. This time, we would match up against Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. Bo Stewart was back, so we started the game off hot with a huge rushing touchdown on the ground by Bo to take a quick 7-0 lead. Nebraska would drive down the field on its first possession, but ultimately come up short and have to settle for a 45-yard field goal, which they made. Right before the end of the first half, we were in scoring range and would capitalize with a huge touchdown throw on a rollout by Stewart to give us a 14-3 lead. Nebraska would come up short and give us the ball back to end the half, so we at least had to try an end zone shot before the break. But I ended up throwing a terrible pick 6 to put Nebraska back in the game and get the ball at the end of the first half. The second half was a defensive battle though, and we ultimately won the game with our running game, as we punched in a massive touchdown on the ground right after the 2-minute warning to go up 21-10 and give ourselves a bid in the national championship game against the Clemson Tigers. The game would start out relatively well for us, as we drove down the field and scored a 41-yard field goal to take an early 3-0 lead. Clemson would answer with a field goal of its own near the end of the first quarter to knot the game up at 3. And the game started to feel like a kicking contest, as we were forced to take another field goal from 41 yards out, which we again made to regain the lead. Clemson would break the seal on its next drive though, as we had a coverage bust in our secondary, allowing for a quick bubble screen by Clemson to go 53 yards to the house and give the Tigers a 10-6 lead late in the first half. However, we would answer that touchdown with a score of our own on the ground by Kyle Rabe to give us the lead back going into the break. Clemson would start the second half with the ball and would capitalize on the opportunity by scoring a touchdown on a pick play to the flat. What was once a defensive battle had all of a sudden turned into a shootout, and to start the fourth quarter, we would go forward on 4th and goal at the 1 to score a touchdown on the ground and retake the lead at 20-17. But Clemson was still killing us with bubble screens to the boundary, as it scored with a huge 64-yard touchdown to take a 24-20 lead with only 4 minutes left in the game. Would we have an answer? And the answer is yes, as we would chew the clock and run a full house set on the goal line to score a game-changing rushing touchdown to the outside with only 44 seconds remaining. Clemson had one last opportunity, but they would literally throw it away with an awful pick to the outside, allowing us to win the game and win the national championship. This rebuild took a lot of time, but it was a ton of fun to play. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.